Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic. What's a made-up fact that sounds real? Lifesavers candy was invented to help prevent choking deaths. The idea behind them was that, if the candy should become lodged in the throat, there would still be a small hole in the center for air to pass through. They were literally life-saving. Lifesavers were put on the market only 3 months after the Titanic sank. This is the better one, since it references what most people recognize as the actual origin of the name. And it's totally plausible that a candy company in 1911 would be callous enough to capitalize on a tragedy. Edit, this is actually true. Edit, yes, it was 1912. No, getting that wrong by one digit does not equate to a T-Vax propaganda. If you feel the need to correct it, I've heard you. If you feel the need to be a smug bastard about it, suck me. Monocles with 2 lenses are called bifocals. Fun fact, it first had 3 lenses because it kept breaking and was called trickles. But then the glasses got stronger and they didn't need 3. They reduced it to 2 and then 1. That's also where the phrase trickle down comes from. It trickled down to monocles. Trickle down muku mix. Vitamins is actually a portmanteau of the words vital minerals. First one on this thread that I believed before realizing what this thread was. Same. I legit just read the title, understood it then instantly thought this was real. ERF is an acronym for non-expanding recreational foam. I'd honestly believe this if it wasn't in this thread. I believed it until someone in a different thread mentioned it wasn't real. No one cited sources on either side and I was too lazy to investigate, so it still could be real, but likely isn't. Each year, sharks kill more people than toasters. That one's true though. Sharks don't kill any toasters. Dinosaurs had big ears, but everyone forgot this because dinosaur ears don't have bones. It's a rock fact. A single ravioli is called a raviolus. Is a single tortellini a tortellio? Yes, those scientists are still searching for the tortello. Spirit of Halloween is owned by Spencer's. It makes 50% of Spencer's profit in the 2 months they are open. This is my favorite so far. I have no idea what's even real anymore after reading this thread. I don't believe that. The phrase "Yui-ho" didn't actually come from cowboys. It came from the Chinese railroad workers during the 1800s when they built the Transcontinental Railroad. It's actually an anglicizatio of nickel-how. Are you keeping the joke going or is this actually true? Because if it is, I'm telling 200 people today. Related real fact, the term buckaroo is an anglicizatio of vaquero, pronounced, very roughly, like barquero. It literally means cowboy in Spanish. And juzgao, which is the cowboy term for jail, is likewise an anglicizatio of jugado, from Spanish jugado, which is a word for courtroom in Mexico. The reason why the police are sometimes called cops is because their badges used to be made out of copper. Wait a second, I thought this was actually true. No, cop actually comes from copper, which is English slang. Basically, a copper is someone who seizes things by force. The human body produces enough saliva in one lifetime to fill a submarine. How much is that in football fields? At least 1, depending on the size of the submarine. The air velocity of an unladen swallow is approximately 12 meters per second. African or European? I don't coash. Tetris was inspired by a carpet shortage in the Soviet Union. People could only get carpeting scraps that were cut out for where cabinets, closets, etc. were. Because of this, people had to figure out how to cover a floor with those scraps. A worker then had the idea to make a game out of it. The pieces were inspired by common shapes of those carpet scraps. This is cracking, I know this is not true but I'd happily accept it. 10/10. I read the post title wrong. I thought it was what's a real fact that sounds made up and I've been scrolling down like yep, didn't know that, that's interesting, oh wow, oh damn that's really cool as well. What's your real name, kid? Fogel. Fuck it. We're calling you Soviet Tetris carpet squares. Norwegian warships don't have numbers painted on their bows. Instead they have barcodes printed on them. That way when they get back to port they can Scandinavian. This is the most underrated thing I have read. I love you. Thank you for my new second favorite joke of all time. You have changed my life for the better. Tell us your first. You can actually hold your breath underwater longer at higher elevations. Edit, it why everyone is questioning and is a fact I literally made up that has no scientific basis. The reverse sounds more plausible. Higher pressure at lower elevation means getting more O2 into your lungs. Training at high elevation could condition your body to work with lower pressure oxygen though. United States postal workers technically have the authority to pull over and ticket motorists for speeding. If a cop car, an ambulance, fire truck and postal van pulled up at a stop sign at exactly the same time, the postal van would have first right of way. Is this the place for Postmaster General facts? Yes, it is. The Postmaster General is 19th in the line of presidential succession, and therefore the highest-ranking general in the United States. The Surgeon General is 20th in line and therefore the second highest-ranking general. The Postmaster General is the only member of the executive branch who can neither be fired by the President nor impeached by Congress. Only the Supreme Court, in a process known as judicial discharge, can remove the Postmaster General from his /her office. The Postmaster General is still provided by Congress with $40 a year for the purchase of beeswax and turpentine in order to waterproof haversacks, frocks, coats, and clothing divers. Benjamin Franklin, the first Postmaster General, was posthumously awarded the title Postmaster General Emeritus by Congress in 1976, and recognized as a six-star general along with generals of the armies George Washington, Douglas MacArthur, and John Pershing, also all posthumously honored. Velveeta is compressed American cheese that didn't meet quality standards. American cheese has quality standards. The entire state of Wisconsin wants to know your location. A group of frogs is called a frugality. This one is true. My friend in WoW Club told me. Your WoW friend was wrong. Sorry. A group of frogs is commonly called an army. Although a larger group can also be called a colony, a group of frogs of the same age range a cohort, and a group of calling males a chorus. A group of toads on the other hand is commonly referred to as a knot. Source, Google and ptduck8.com. You are twice as likely to die during a pro wrestling match than you are a legit boxing match or MMA fight. Watching or being in one. For spectators I'd believe it. Watching. Like you don't even have to be there, if it's running on your TV you're 2x more likely to die. The inside of your armpit has a unique print much like no one person has the same fingerprints. Everything is unique if you look hard enough. And nothing is if you look harder. The knife and fork were first paired together by Lord Cutlery, 4th Earl of Wellsbury, in 1542, giving birth to the collective name we use to this day. Change the name to just Cutler and I'd %1000 take it at face value as true. The Earl of Sandwich has entered the chat. If you add a decimal to a made-up percentage, people are 72.8% more likely to believe it. 89.25% of statistics are made up on the spot. Never believe quotes or statistics you found on the internet. Abraham Lincoln. The suicide squads were real WW2 army groups sent out during the Battle of Bastogne. They were never expected to make it, and they took on the name in jest. Edit, okay. Holy shit. I know it's cliched out the rear, but my god. I never thought I'd make a post so good it'd get a wholesome award. An embedded journalist with the first squad wrote that one of the soldiers asked, "What is this, some kind of suicide squad?" And the rest is history. Well, jokes aside, this is real, but commanders never told soldiers they were expendable on some missions. Well, when I signed enlistment papers to the USN in '84, they pretty much said that the Bill of Rights no longer applied. Point was driven home. First medical check in boot camp. List the shape, size, and location of all scars and tattoos. The PO said, and if the end of your dick was cut off you can start with circumcision scar. A kid asked why they needed to know that. Poe looked at him, that's a dumb question. Apparently you'll need to know. When your body is blown to pieces, your mama will get back as many as we can identify. The holes in bread are called Mitchie holes after a place in Wales, UK which has a rock formation with many holes where the rocks are the colour of fresh bread. If you fall into a tub of bread, you'll be fine unless you're in France. Because then you'll be in a lot of pain. This sounds a lot like a Tom Scott video. Love me some Mitchie holes. Fill those fuckers with butter. On average, Americans drive an extra 84 miles a year simply by being in the outermost lane around turns. You can catch a cold from being cold. Edit: I'm getting way too many responses to respond to them all. Colds are caused by viruses. Can cold weather compromise your immune system, making you more susceptible? Under extreme conditions, yes. You still have to come in contact with the virus. There is not random virus floating out in the air. You have to be in the room with a sick person to get it through the air. It can also last on surfaces for several hours. Going for a run in cold weather will not make you sick if you come home to an empty house where no one has been sick. My parents still think this. Also that if you sit or sleep near a draft, like from an open window, you'll get a neck ache. Somehow. Studies in the Netherlands, 2002, and Finland, 2009, have indeed shown that drafts can cause neck pain. This is probably caused by scrunching up your neck and shoulders to keep warm even if you're unaware you're doing this, which can strain your neck muscles. The stuff people used to believe. The stuff my relatives still believe. I discovered you can get a cold even in summer the hard way.